Hi there, and welcome to the channel. I'm Mike, and I'm excited to share another Divi tutorial with you. My goal here is to make learning Divi as straightforward as possible. Today we're going to see how you can effortlessly combine scroll effects and sticky options in a Divi web page. So what that looks like is, if I scroll down, you see that the text dynamically comes in, the image will come in and scroll up, and the sticky text will scroll up with the image. If I continue to scroll, it'll go through the next one. That's the next row and the next row, and so on and so on. If I scroll in the opposite direction, you'll see that that animation will be reversed, and you'll get the same cool effect, but as I say, in reverse. So if there's something that interests you, then just grab your favorite beverage, hit the like button, and let's get started. All right, so what we have to do first is jump back into our WordPress. Let's go add a new page. And so that page I called Scroll Effects and Sticky Options. I'm going to take that same name just because I lack creativity at the moment. And I'm just going to call it Scroll Effects and Sticky Options Demo. All right. So let's jump into it. Divi Builder. And as we get the option, as usual in these tutorials, let's hit the build from scratch, start building. Okay, so we're given the initial thing that we always see, and we want to have a look because we got the section over here. We want to take away the row settings and go into the settings for the section. All right, we want to give it a background. And we want to give it a gradient background. All right, so if I add in the background, select the color, and I want 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the usual one, right? Okay, then I want to change the other color to white and bring the opacity all the way down. Okay, I want to keep it as a linear, but I want the gradient direction this time to be 90. So we want a nice right angle from left to right. Now, one of the big differences between the other times that we've done this and this time around is we actually want to change where the gradient starts and where it ends. So we want to start the gradient at 10%. All right, so we want to start it at 10%, but we also want to end it at 10%. So we don't really want the gradient, but what we want is we want the difference in shades. Okay. I see we have it the wrong way around. There we go. That's what we want. Right, so I made the mistake because I pulled it from the right to left and I went right over, so it swapped the ones around. Okay, anyways, we got what we want now. And so we also want to make sure that if we go to advanced visibility, again, we want to make sure there's no horizontal overflow and also no vertical overflow. And once that's done, then we can add our first row. So the row I want to add is this one over here. So because we want to have the section on the left for the image and then the right for the text. So let's put that in. And then again, I want to first go and work on some settings here before adding any modules. And the very first thing we want to work with is the sizing, the overview sizing of the row. And we want to move that width to 100%. And then again, make if you watched my previous tutorial, you'll see I like to have the size because it pushes it full width. All right, 2580. Next thing we want to do is we just want to have a look at spacing. And in spacing, we want to give it a bottom margin of 50. Okay. So once that is done, we can save that. And then we want to jump back into that and go to not column 1, but we want to go to column 2. So in column 2, this is now on this side over here where we're going to put the text. We want to give it a bit of padding. So let's go spacing, padding. And we want to do 5 each, all right, but we want to do top and bottom. And then left and right, we want to do 8%. All right, so that's going to give us a nice central figure over here. All right, then I think we can already start adding our text. So in column 1, let's add our text. And let's just take it like this. Be a bit lazy today. All right, we want to make this an H3, so that's a bit bigger. Okay, once that's done, let's give it a background. Again, we want to give it a background gradient. Then we want to put the first color as RGBA 8 45 18 0.52 and close it off. Okay, oh, I actually got the numbers. So I'm just going to copy this because yeah, it's kind of no, should be okay. All right, then we want to jump into the other one, and this one we want to make white, and then just bring it all the way down. Okay, that should work. And the other thing we want to do, one more setting, is we want to make sure that this is placed above the image. Okay, that's because we're going to put the background image, and we want to make sure that this background is going to be giving you that gradient, that like overlay kind of green feel that you could see when I showed you the initial one. All right, so in here now we want to put in an image because now I've got that done. So let's add in the image. Just go and look. I think take this image again, upload. All right. We want to make sure that the background image is set to cover and that we've set it to center. Make sure those are settings done, and then that's all good, and it can save. Now let's jump into this module again and just select the H3. We're going to style the text itself. So font, I like to make the Kumba Sans. We want to make it maybe a little bit bold. Want to make it uppercase. I'm going to center it. Make it white so we can see clearly what's happening. Size-wise, let's make it 42. And then line height, let's go for 1.2. All right. So once that's done, let's hit a bit of spacing. So the spacing, we want to give it 20 VH, right? But we want the top and the bottom to be the same. And then we want to put in some padding. And the padding we want to put in is the 48 VH. So that's going to push it down nicely. All right, so if you recall in my previous videos, I spoke about the VH. If you're not familiar with the VH is the viewer's height. So that'll be dependent upon the screen size that you're viewing it on. So 20 VH on a desktop will not look the same as 20 VH on a mobile device because it'll be dependent on the size of the screen. It's only going to give 20% of the view height of the screen. All right, so keep that in mind if you want to make any changes to the amounts that I'm giving here. All right, so once that's done, let's save that. And then we want to go back to column 2. And we want to add our first text module over here. All right, so this is going to be an H4. So I'm just going to take out all of that. And then we say it's an H4. And then we can just go to the design. All right, H4. We also want it to be the same. Kumba Sans. Kumba Sans. Anyways, right, so we want this to be semi-bold. We want it to be uppercase. We want it to be 155, 100. No, I think I prefer 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Right. Now we want to play around with the size over here. So let's just select responsive. So on desktop, we want this to be 45. On tablet, we want it to be 40. Okay. And then on mobile screen, we want it to be 35. Okay. All right. So let's go back to this one. So if you're not familiar with how this works, is that it works in a cascading kind of way. So any settings that you do on the desktop will cascade across downwards. So if I then make changes to tablet, tablet will then cascade downwards, but will not affect desktop. So if you want to just rush through the changes and you don't want to make it on every one each time, that's the sort of the technique that you can use whenever you're putting the settings here. All right, so then for letter spacing, we leave it that, and letter height we put to 1.3. Okay, so I think that's looking okay. All right, then we go and we hit this and add in another module, the divider module. So we show divider yes, and then we go for color. Let's go and put in E8DDC9. Okay, so once we have that in, we go and look at sizing. So divider weight, we want it to be 5, so it's quite hefty. And height, we want also to be 5. All right, then we save that, and we go jump in and add one more text module. I hope you're still hanging in there. We're almost there, almost ready to do the fun stuff. All right, so this text module, we now want to have, let's have the whole thing here. All right, let's go change the text, make it our same cum sans. Then text we keep regular, text color. I'm going to put this 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Let's look at sizing again. We want it for the different devices. So for desktop, we want 20, if we can. 20. All right. For tablet though, we want it to be 16. So see, I put 16 now. Now if I go to phone, you see it says 16. So it cascades across from left to right. All right. Now let's jump back to desktop because we want this to apply to everything. We want to go to letter spacing, and letter spacing we want to make -0.5. All right, so we want to bring all of them a little bit closer to each other. And then the line height, we want to push down or give more space. So we go 0.1 or 1.8. Okay, so once that's done, let's go off to sizing. And we say width on desktop, let's make it 72%. But on tablet and phone, we want it to be 100%. So we want it to go right across on tablets and phones. Okay, then we just want to add in our final thing, and that is the button. Okay, so once that's done, let's go and change the button styles. All right, So button text, we want to leave at 20. Let's put in the same as the previous one, 155, 100. And then background, let's go put another gradient. And this gradient, we're going to put another RGBA. RGBA 43, 135, 218, 0. Okay. And then the other color. Let's make this 224, 198, 159, and then 0.48. Okay. Now, just like what we did earlier, we want to move the, jump into this one, move this to 50% for start, but we also want to move this one to 50% to end. All right, so that gives us that nice clean break that you can see there in the background. What we want to do now is we want to give that a bit more of like a floating feel. So we want to go to button border width and move that to 0. And then there that jumps up. Okay, then we want to go and be uniform. So we want our cum sans. Maybe we want this a little bit semi-bold. And we also want to make it all caps. All right, and I think that is it. So if we save that, we can now go start with the fun stuff. All right. So if I hit the row settings and I go into column 2, and in column 2, we go and set under advanced scroll effects. We change this to stick to top. All right. Now after the stick to top, we want to say sticky top offset. We want to change this, and it must be different for the device. So on desktop, we want to make this 50. But on tablet and phone, we want to push this to 80. Okay. Then on bottom sticky limit, we want to make this to the row. We want to make sure the offset from surrounding is yes, and the transition yes. Okay, so once that's done, let's go and have a look at border. So border styles, I want to do the left border, and I want to jump in here so we can get back to desktop. All right, so left border width, I want to make this sticky, but I only want to make it sticky. Oh, I want to make it 2. Right, and I want to give it a color of 799A8D. Okay, so that column, that border will kick in as soon as the sticky element starts kicking in. All right, the sticky element disappears and that border disappears. But it'd be quite nice. If we can make it transition. No, not transition, let's go transform. Make sure that this is set to desktop. Transform. Let's jump to the bottom here and set this to 10 VW. All right. And then once we go in and it becomes sticky, we want that then to shift over to 0 VW. So that's going to give us that animation that slide in from the right to the left. Okay, save that and save that. Alright, now let's go and jump into the text modules. And in the text modules, what we will want to do is we will want to set it to opacities to 0. So we do that in the filters. So design filters, go down to opacity. We want to select the opacity to 0. And then we want to select the sticky option. And once we're in sticky, we want to push it back to 100%. Alright, we save that. We want to do that with each one of the items. Alright, push it to 0, get sticky, and push it to 100%. And then finally with the button, same thing. Filters, opacity, 0, and sticky, sticky, 100%. Alright, once that's done, we're going to look at this divider. So divider, we don't want to do opacity, but what we do want to do is we want to do sizing. So if we look at the width, and we make the width 0, but then when we jump into the sticky settings, let's kick that up to about 35. Okay. I want to give this a bit of a transition, so let's jump to transition and we're going to slow that down a bit. So 800 milliseconds, that's just how long it's going to take for the animation to actually play out. Alright, now this side is pretty much done. If we scroll, it's not showing right now, but we'll see it as it plays out. Let's jump into the text on column 1. Once we're there, let's go to advanced. We go down to scroll effects, and then let's enable this horizontal motion. Once that is enabled, we want to start this off at -5. Okay, so it's starting off the screen. Then our mid offset we want to have at 72 over there, and then our final one we want to push back to 0, and that's at 100%. Okay, and then we also want to add in a bit of a fade in and fade out, so let's put that there. So we're starting again at 0, but then we want this one also to be at 0, but we push it to about 46%. Then this one we want to be at 100%, but we want to push it down to 52%. So what that means is that we're going to have opacity of 0% from 46% of the viewport. That means when we start scrolling, it's then going to start the transition from 0 to 100%. So at 52%, it's going to be showing at 100%. All right, and then that's it, I think, if I recall. Let's give this a try and see. Let's save that. Let's save this. All right, just one thing we still need to do is that, remember there was more than one when I scroll. So you can just clone or duplicate this row as many times as you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Save that again. And exit. And let's see what happens if I scroll. There it comes. There it comes. And off it goes. And if we go to the next one, there it comes in, goes up, and another one. And if we scroll the opposite way, it does the same animation, but in the opposite direction. All right, so that was a bit of a long one. Hopefully you'll be able to stuck it out to the end, but I think it's quite a worthy animation that you can use in your website as you go along. Perhaps you can use it for blog posts or anything like that you want to highlight on your homepage or on a specific featured page where you're highlighting a certain or a few blog posts that you want the people to scroll through. And so I hope this tutorial will be useful for you, and if it has, please do hit that like button to let me know. And I'm planning to post more Divi tutorials as I learn more about Divi, so please do subscribe and to ensure that you don't lose out on any of these tutorials. Your feedback is valuable, so please do leave a comment below with any questions or suggestions for future videos. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.